Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Dr. Lasker. I'm a consultant radiologist, and my videos are few and far between at the moment, just getting more and more busy trying to afford that caviar. So basically someone on my channel has asked me the question, after I did the video on 5 pros and 5 cons about doing radiology, someone asked me for more pros because they're thinking about doing radiology and they're finding themselves running around on the wards, kind of a lot of the stuff that I was talking about where you're not really feeling like you're doing very doctory things, and they asked me to talk about more things about radiology and why you should consider doing it. And that's easy. That's barely any thought whatsoever, which is why this very quick video is going to be really quick to do and put together, because I could go on about radiology being the best subspecialty for ages. Anyway, so let's go with it. Like 5? Should we go for 5? I'll think about 5. All right, so number one is that what you'll find is that if you are a person who likes to solve puzzles and really work with a clinical situation, a clinical problem, a patient comes in with some really weird sort of presentations and sometimes not so weird presentations, radiology will really appeal to that nature of you, that side of you where you're looking at a clinical problem and trying to put everything together and get to a conclusion, a diagnosis, right? And so I'm not saying that's not other branches of medicine alike, but when you're doing other branches of medicine, you will start to notice that a lot of your time is spent running around on the wards, taking a blood test, handing a form, and as you get more and more senior, you're trying to do papers, you're trying to do research, and it's not so much to do with the actual day-to-day figuring out a problem. So that's one thing I really like about radiology, and that's it's a bit of a thinking person's thing. Not that other people don't think at all, but I feel like when you're doing radiology, you are mentally thinking about the problem again and again and again, and you're really kind of working your way through, putting various bits of history together to the point where you're looking at a scan, you see something a bit weird, you look at the date of birth, you look at the person's name, try and figure out where they may have originated from, because certain diseases are more prevalent in certain populations, and then look at the indication, the history, look at any previous tests and put it all together to try and get to a unified diagnosis. And being a radiologist, you do have a lot of time to be able to do that. So that's the first thing. It's a very, very sort of thinking job, right? Not so much hands-on where you're cutting things and stuff like that. It's not so much like that. So the next thing is that you'll be very hard pressed to not find something interesting going on in the radiology department. I mean, you turn up to your multidisciplinary meeting, whatever meetings you may have, x-ray meetings and that kind of thing, and go ask that radiologist, do you have any interesting scans from the week? And more than likely, if they've been doing their job properly, something would have popped up that is really, really interesting. Now think about it from this point of view. Right, an entire hospital of people are coming in, and amongst those you will have some interesting scans or interesting cases, right? So more than likely those interesting cases will have an x-ray of some sort, a chest x-ray, CT scan, and move on through the imaging. And so therefore that one interesting person or interesting case out of 1,000 cases that may have popped up in the day is going to go through the radiology department. Now, if you think about from the other point of view, if you are a ward doctor and you're running around trying to find an interesting patient, they're a bit far and few between sometimes, right? And sometimes you may hear a murmuring from someone else that, that patient on such and such ward's got really good signs, you should go check it out. And then you've got to go find that patient and then try and listen and learn from that person and their signs and symptoms. So it's a bit of a luck of the draw. What comes in through the door and what doesn't come in through the door can actually navigate your own experience and your own expertise. Whereas with radiology, you kind of got access to a whole load of things, which kind of brings us onto my channel sponsor. Collective Minds Radiology is a channel sponsor of mine. I work with them very, very closely. A few of my own teaching material is on there. And I would highly recommend going on there, getting yourself an account. It is free, and there's loads of great cases with explanations from multiple people all over the world where you can find out more. So after a while, you realize that your learning is independent from what comes through the door. Your learning is actually more based on what you're willing to look for. All you've got to do is do a search on the in-house systems, or you just go on the internet and look at the images that are available on the internet. It's that easy to get better and look at the most obscure and wonderful images of some very, very interesting cases that exist. So that is another thing that is really, really good when it comes to radiology and radiology learning. And so that's what I would say would be the next point, is that there are so many great learning resources, and you yourself can build a learning resource like I am right now. And it's just fantastic. There's just a whole wealth of information and scans out there for you to learn from, which makes radiology really, really awesome. The next thing I would say is the training is actually pretty good. I mean, in most places it's pretty good, because what you do is you you kind of get better and better at the things that you're going to do as a consultant. So, you know, what I found is that when I noticed that some of my friends who went down different routes of the medical life, a lot of the time is not spent doing what they actually want to do, and that may be surgery. They may find themselves in clinics, they may find themselves doing all sorts of other stuff. But depending on the kind of person you are, you can actually start to shift your focus into what you're really into. And if you're like me and just likes to look at scans all day, that's kind of what you do. You just look at scans all day, report them to the best of your ability, and watch it fly out into the ether to try and make a difference for your patients. So that's a really great thing. Like, what you train to do is what you kind of end up doing as your job. And so as time goes on, you do actually get better and better. Now, number 5, I did say I was going to do 5. What can I think of for a number 5 to be the best part of radiology? I think it's related to the training, and generally in life you don't have to do that much research. Radiology is not really known for research, and let's be honest, like, you know, you can do a whole load of research, but does that mean that you're a better doctor? Does that mean that you're better at whatever you're doing? Research and all that is all a bit iffy. I'm not so sure about it.
There's them bells again.
Sorry, doorbell rang, Amazon delivery. The final thing I was saying was, yeah, you don't have to do that much research. And for me personally, I don't find research all that interesting. I think it's really boring. I think a lot of research is done for the sake of doing research. I don't think a lot of the stuff that goes out there is actually all that useful. And I don't think that the person who's doing the most research makes the best kind of doctor. And so if you kind of are not that way inclined, then I don't think you really have to do that much research. You don't have to do any of that stuff. And so even during your training, you can have quite a nice existence in terms of kind of doing what you want to do and not being forced to do things that you don't want to do so much. I mean, he might have to do the odd audit and stuff, but I think the training is pretty good. You know, I really do. And then it's up to you, like, how good you want to be. So for surgeons who want to do like cutting time and get better and better by doing more and more operations, they might find themselves staying late. They might find themselves, you know, staying late after doing a night shift and stuff to get some more experience. But in radiology, I mean, look, all you've got to do is go on the internet or just sit there in the department, maybe have lunch while kind of scooting through scans. And that's kind of what I used to do. Really nerdy, isn't it? I used to come in and then look at the scans that came in during the night and just have a quick look through and just see what the report said, look at the images, maybe save a few because I found them so interesting. And so the amount of effort it takes to get good or like good enough, I don't feel is as high as with other jobs, because other jobs feel like they kind of take away the time that is required for you to be good at what you do. And there's just too much of this other stuff you've got to end up doing, like paperwork, forms, and all this other thing. Whereas actually, if you want to do surgery, go do surgery. You know, that's what you want to do, be good at. But unfortunately, the way things are, you can't really do that and then expect to really get very far. Anyway, that's a really quick video. I don't know how good this has turned out. Hopefully it's been okay. As always, do have a listen to my podcast if you've got a few minutes. It's a good fun. And hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, wherever. I'm always interested to meet people, talk to people. So thank you for watching, and I hope that's helped someone out there make a decision as to what to choose to do with their own life in medicine. All right, thank you for watching, and goodbye.